Czechoslovak athlete who won 3 gold medals in the 1952 Helsinki Olympics, 5,000 m, 10,000 m and marathon. He was noted for his relentless training regime, which involved the pioneering use of interval training. A hero in his native Czechoslovakia, he was an influential member in the Communist Party. However, he was later expelled for supporting the democratic movement of 1968 and as a consequence was forced to work in dangerous mining jobs. He was rehabilitated in 1990 by Czech President Václav Havel. Zatopek is considered one of the greatest athletes and sporting personalities of the 20th century. Great is the victory, but the friendship is all the greater. Emil Zatopek. Short bio. Emil Zatopek. Emil Zatopek was born in Czechoslovakia in 1922. His working-class parents, František and Anžeka, had 8 children in all. The large family meant family finances were spread thinly, and Emil was always conscious of living close to the poverty line. As a child, Zatopek was a bright, independently minded spirit, with an unusual power of memory. Many friends said an abiding characteristic of the young Zatopek was his willingness to try everything differently. In 1937, just short of his 15th birthday, Zatopek left his hometown to work in the large Bata factory in Zlin. For the time, it was a reasonable job, though very disciplined and somewhat repetitive. Aged 18, he had no interest in running, but on one occasion was picked to join a race. Despite his protestations that he was unfit, he was forced to start the race and ended up coming second out of 100. This began his interest in running, and within 4 years he was representing Czechoslovakia. The Second World War and the German occupation of Czechoslovakia meant he lost some of the best years of his career. But, during the war, he was able to persevere with his training and make significant improvements. After the Second World War, he joined the new Czechoslovakia army, who were sympathetic to allowing him time to train, especially as international success followed. In 1948, he became a household name, winning the 10 kilometers in the austerity London Olympics. He also finished second in the 5 kilometers, though many felt running with greater reserve in the heats may have enabled him to win. Zatopek remarked on how significant the 1948 Olympics were. For me, the 1948 Olympics was a liberation of the spirit. After all those dark days of the war, the bombing, the killing, the starvation, the revival of the Olympics was as if the sun had come out. I went into the Olympic Village in 1948 and suddenly there were no more frontiers, no more barriers. Just the people meeting together. It was wonderfully warm. Men and women who had lost 5 years of life were back again. Shortly after the 1948 Olympics, he married Zana, who was an Olympic javelin thrower. During the London Olympics he bought 2 gold rings from a shop in Piccadilly Circus. He proposed in unusual fashion. They were both born September 19, 1922, so, we were both born on the same day. What if, by chance, we were also to get married on the same day? Their marriage was largely happy, though to Emil's disappointment remained childless. After the 1948 Olympics, Zatopek's dominance of middle-distance running grew, leading to several world records. On September 29, 1951, Emil Zatopek became the first person to run 20 kilometers in under 1 hour and broke 4 world records in one breathtaking race. By the end of 1953 he held 8 world running records, the only man in history to hold so many records at the same time. In total he set 18 world records. 1952 Helsinki Olympics. In 1952, Emil Zatopek achieved one of the greatest Olympic feats of all time, something that will probably never be reproduced. He won gold in the 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers and then at the last moment decided to run his first ever marathon. Despite no previous experience at the distance, he won the race by over 2 minutes. This triple Olympic gold remains an unprecedented achievement. The amazing feature of this Olympics was that 2 months before the Olympics, doctors advised him not to race because of an infected gland. Zatopek ignored the doctor's advice. Another incident shortly before the 1952 Olympics also illustrates Zatopek's willingness to take an unorthodox stance. In 1952, Czechoslovakia was in the throes of great political oppression, with many people put in jail and executed for suspect political views. Stalinist purges were widespread and even athletics was not immune. Just 8 months prior, the entire national ice hockey team were arrested and 8 players sentenced to a total of 77 years. Their crimes were supposedly contemplating defection. Shortly before the Olympics, Stanislav Jungwirth was excluded from the national team on the grounds his father was in prison for political offenses. But Zatopek was infuriated and told the Ministry of Sports that if Standa does not go, nor will I. Zatopek's stance was brave and perhaps foolhardy, as the consequences could have been severe. It was also remarkable given what was at stake for Zatopek, and he was widely tipped to be favorite for at least 2 Olympic golds. In the end, the Ministry of Sports climbed down and allowed both Standa and Zatopek to travel. However, a dossier was made on Zatopek for his possible punishment after the Games. It was with this threat hanging over his head that Zatopek competed in the Olympics. His unique triple of Olympic golds gave Zatopek a public popularity which saved him from further punishment. A lesser athlete would probably have fared very differently. Zatopek was not just an Olympic champion, but a gregarious character who spontaneously built up relationships and goodwill with athletes from other countries. In 1952, Helsinki Olympics, it was Zatopek who embodied the Olympic ideal, often allowing Westerners into the separate Warsaw